Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, Congress passed legislation that guarantees parents have a right to be involved in their children's education and to hold their school administrators accountable. At face value, this should not be a controversial bill. Yet it passed with a slim majority of 213 to 208. It's a parent's Bill of Rights. Yet, 203 of my Democratic colleagues voted against affirming parental involvement in a child's education. I would say I'm surprised, but this opposition is just more of what we have already seen from Democrat leaders and the White House over the last 2 years. A campaign against parents characterized by unnecessary school closures, masks in the classrooms, DOJ repressing parents' rights to participate at school board meetings, and an effort to label concerned parents as domestic terrorists. And what do we have to show for 2 years of this kind of, quote, leadership? Reports of historic learning losses and higher levels of anxiety and depression in our school-aged children. The fact that we even need legislation like this further proves how far we've come in this country. It's an unfortunate reality that there are individuals across this nation actively questioning a parent's right to know what their child is exposed to in the classroom. Questioning that. A teacher in Arizona has even suggested that because she has a master's degree, she is more qualified to make a judgment call on what children are taught in the classroom, and that parents are the ones who need to be vetted before they can voice their opinion. She even went so far as to say this: "We must remember," and I quote, "we must remember that the purpose of public education is not only to teach what parents want their children to be taught, but to teach them what society needs to be taught." Well, Mr. Speaker, I reject this idea that my children are her children. Call me old-fashioned, but I don't believe a parent's right to have a say in their child's life ends at the edge of the schoolyard. Parents are the primary stakeholders in their child's education. I'm proud to have voted for the Parents' Bill of Rights today, which will ensure parents have the right to know what's being taught in schools and to see reading materials that are presented to their children, the right to be heard at school board hearings, the right to seize school budgets and spending, the right to protect their child's privacy by prohibiting student data from being distributed to tech companies, and finally, the right to be updated on any violent activity that occurs at their school. Opposition to these reasonable provisions is just one more of the same government knows best attitude that led us to where we are now. I'll put this plainly because this issue hits home, very close to home for me, and for every American family, regardless of party affiliation. The future of this nation rests on the education of the next generation. And while I believe that teaching is a noble profession and our educators deserve recognition for their service, there is not a world in which a loving parent should be separated from taking an active role in their child's education. As a proud father, grandfather, I am committed to ensuring education decisions are made as close as possible to the classroom so that the future of this nation remains rooted in freedom for all. But it needs to be made with students, parents, and teachers. And with that, I thank you and I yield back.